It's with immense pride that these two young riflemen of Gurkha Rifles explain details of that conflict to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Look at the josh in their voice, the enthusiasm in their voice as they explain every operation to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, from surprise to victory, how the Indian army was brought in. Remember, when the initial battalions came in, they were told that there were a couple of mujahideens here or terrorists who had come. But when battalions started climbing up on their probe missions, they were directly in the line of fire and precision fire by the enemy. Now that shows that the enemy was not mujahideen or terrorist, but the enemy was a trained professional army, because the defenses had been sighted with military precision. Machine guns were being used with military accuracy. There's something called firing discipline which is taught in the army, because in anger or in desperation or in nervousness, a young recruit or a young terrorist, you press the trigger once, and if it's an AK-47, the entire magazine, 28 bullets, come rushing out. You need military discipline, that you just lemon squeeze the trigger, that gentle lemon squeeze of the trigger, that only a couple of bullets come out, only the required number of bullets come out each time. So that military discipline was shown by those Pakistani regulars. And what were those battalions? The Northern Light Infantry of the Pakistan Army and the 33 Frontier Force. My interaction with Brigadier Devinder Singh just a short while back, and of course even during Op Vijay, he said that when 33 Frontier Force, which comprised the Pakistani Punjabi Musalmans, when they were killed in battle, when they were killed in Batalik, that is the time that Musharraf lost his nerve. Because losing the Shia Muslims of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, of Gilgit and Baltistan, did not matter to them. They are cannon fodder. As far as Pakistan is concerned, they are happy to lose the Pashtuns, the Pathans, the Sindhis, the Baluchs, and the Shias. They just don't want to lose the Punjabi Sunni Musalman of Pakistan's Punjab province. When they started getting killed, Musharraf lost his nerve, and Nawaz Sharif rushed to America on the 4th of July seeking peace, and then there was a ceasefire on the 16th of July. But a ceasefire on India's terms, that India insisted Pakistan will vacate and go all the way up to the line of control. Well, there was treachery even in that. There's one post in the Drass sector called .5353, which is partially on the other side of the LC and partially on own side. Pakistan continues to occupy it, but then India dominates 5353 from two adjoining posts, and India has such an aggressive posture along the line of control now that in case Pakistan tries something foolhardy, there will be massive consequences for Pakistan to pay. And after Balakot, Pakistan has realized it cannot take India or India's response for granted, because in the past, for decades that I have covered defense, there would be Pakistanis would taunt India by saying, we'll fire as many bullets as you want, but for India, you have to fire every one bullet, you'll have to take permission from your superior headquarters, and your superior headquarters from the political leadership. But now the instructions, the standing instructions to the army are, do what you want to ensure the sanctity of the line of control and the line of actual control. That's something that General Naravne also spoke of when Galwan happened, or when that standoff was happening around the line of actual control. He escalated it to Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is believed to have told him, "Jo uchit samajhiye wo kijiye." So at a tactical level, the army is free to do what the army thinks is right. Now, right now, the images that you see on your television screen are Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Remembrance Hut. There's a museum of the Kargil War, and here there are detailed maps, and these are maps of that Kargil War. There are weapons, mortars that have been kept there, infantry weapons, not just owned, but also those that were captured from the Pakistan army. Those captured weapons, those images are being explained to the Prime Minister, and you also see images of the 545 braves who made the supreme sacrifice of their lives. The Prime Minister is flanked by the Chief of the Army Staff, is on one side of the Prime Minister. There are senior commanders of the Army, Navy and Air Force with the Prime Minister. Remember, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan is here. Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, he's here. Chief of Air Staff is here. General Upendra Dwivedi is here. So the entire military leadership is here at this point of time, and the Prime Minister is being given each detail of Operation Vijay. He, of course, had come here as a BJP Karyakarta in 1999. He'd visited the hospital. He'd interacted with injured soldiers. He'd interacted with soldiers who had just returned from combat and were in R&R, or rest and recuperation, and had assured them that he would try and do everything possible in his capacity to ensure they get everything they want. The Prime Minister has always considered himself to be very close to the armed forces, and one of the first decisions he took when he came to power in 2014 was the grant of enhanced pension, of one rank one pension that the armed forces were seeking for decades. Of course, certain issues remain, but majority of what the forces were needing was granted according to military veterans I have spoken to. But now it's the defense modernization that is of utmost importance. There are issues like Agniveer that the army is grappling with and that the government will be grappling with, because the Indian army, it's not just the motto of this division here, the 8th Mountain Division, which is forever in operations, but the Indian army, if you notice, is forever in operations, either at the India-Tibet line of actual control, India-Pakistan line of control, or aid to civil authority, or disaster relief across 7 seas. Indian armed forces, Indian Army, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, they are forever in operations. Modernization is one of the biggest areas where India is focusing on. So as you look at these images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in one picture, laying a wreath, or Pushp Chakra as it's known in military parlance, and right now, this is an image that both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the army will treasure. The Prime Minister with the braves of the Indian army, those soldiers who fought and won the conflict here, and those soldiers who defend the 770-kilometer long line of control. So the India-Pakistan border is actually divided in 3 parts. You have the international border. In Jammu and Kashmir, it's about 200 kilometers from Jammu to about Akhnur. From Akhnur, the line of control starts. The line of control is about 770 kilometers. And what an iconic picture. You're looking at this iconic picture of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the Kargil braves and their families. Another picture that you see, the Prime Minister in the center, flanked by military leadership and soldiers and veterans of the Kargil War. This is an image that all those in this image, and of course the 8th Mountain Division here, will treasure for a very long time. So I was explaining the line of control. You have 200 kilometers of the international border from Jammu to Akhnur, then 770 kilometers long line of control which spans a very vast and diverse landscape from the jungles and the nalas of the Jammu sector to Poonch, Rajouri. Then you come to the very mighty Pir Panjal ranges. On the other side of the Pir Panjal ranges is the Kashmir Valley, where the line of control in North Kashmir actually goes up to 17,000 feet, which is extremely high. And then through the North Kashmir, you cross the Shamshabari range, then you come to Zojila, and from Zojila, that's a pass that connects Kashmir to Ladakh. Again, it's the line of control here from Mashko Valley, Drass, Kaksar, Kargil, Batalik, Turtuk, subsector west, and that is the end, NJ, point NJ 9842. That's the point along where the line of control comes to an end, and after that starts the AGPL, or the actual ground position line. That's 110 kilometers long Siachen Glacier. The Indian Army is deployed at the Soltoro Ridge beyond the Siachen Glacier. So you cross the 90-kilometer long freshwater glacier, the Siachen Glacier, which is the 2nd largest in the world source of fresh water. And India now completely controls the Siachen Glacier and is deployed on the Soltoro Ridge line. In fact, Parvez Musharraf's biggest bugbear was when he was commanding the brigade there, he got a bloody nose from the Indian Army as part of Operation Meghdut, which was launched on the 13th of April in 1984 on Baisakhi. And ever since, Indian Army has been dominating the Siachen Glacier. Then you cut to the other side, from the Siachen Glacier, where China and Pakistan can pose a challenge to India. That's the Karakoram range. That is where you have the international border once again after the AGPL, or the actual ground position line, and then starts from the Karakoram border all the way down eastern Ladakh is the LAC, or the India-Tibet line of actual control. And that again remains extremely tricky. 3,500-kilometer long line of actual control from Ladakh across Arunachal Pradesh. And that is where you have the Indian Armed Forces again forever deployed in operations. From Arunachal Pradesh, contentious border with India and Tibet, then North Sikkim, again somewhere where China has repeatedly tried. And remember, China illegally occupies Tibet, but that's where there is a threat in North Sikkim. Doklam in 2017 was a threat, but India showed China what India's red lines are. Doklam, after 73 days of standoff, led to a thaw. But that was actually a thorn on China's side. And again in 2020, taking advantage of that China virus or the COVID virus, China again tried to transgress the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh along multiple friction points. But the army swiftly redeployed. Once again, with military discipline, right now you notice an instruction going out. The Prime Minister, after his interaction with our soldiers, with our veterans, with the Veer Naris and the Veer Parivars, will then head to see the civil development work. But before that, he'll actually walk across the 545 names that are etched there in stone. Those names of every brave who made the supreme sacrifice of his life during the May to July Kargil conflict. The first battalions that were inducted here were in the second week of May. 15th May, 16th May, the Rajputana Rifles Regiment and also the Grenadiers battalions